to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. I want to dedicate an episode on perseverance and how you can use perseverance to achieve true success. So far on the podcast, I've given you a lot of information, particularly that you need to program your subconscious mind for success in everything you do. This is confirmed by Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy, Quo, and a variety of other amazing scholars that we've discussed. It's a common theme that I've reiterated episode after episode. I've shown you how you can use your subconscious to attain your innermost desires, the love and respect of your spouse and your children, your friends and neighbors, your business associates. You've also seen how you can use the mighty powers of your subconscious mind to gain your desires of fame, fortune, power, and how to stay healthy, as well as how to rid yourself of fear, anxiety, and worry forever, and how to get rid of such undesirable habits as excessive drinking, smoking, procrastination, and a bad temper. The only thing that could prevent your success now, after everything that we've been through together, is a lack of perseverance. So that is what we will discuss today. Although this may be a short episode, it is just as important as any other. Of all the personal character traits, in my own opinion, that you will need to develop to succeed in whatever it is that you want to be successful at, perseverance is without a doubt one of the most important, if not the most important. Without perseverance, nothing really worthwhile can ever be accomplished. Remember, I'm saying nothing really worthwhile. It is the one major success factor of everybody I've ever modeled that's successful, that quickly separates the doers from the wishers. I've talked to hundreds of people in coaching, giving advice, people that contact me, and often the number one thing that's missing is a lack of perseverance. They decide they want to do something, they stick to it for a week or so, a couple weeks, maybe a month, and then they stop. It's not working, Brian. I did what I had to do, and it just didn't work out for me. It is ever so easy to be full of fire, enthusiasm, and persistence about doing a difficult job or working on a complex project as long as everything is going all right. But it's a tough proposition to handle when it starts raining inside. That is when the wishers quit and the doers keep right on doing. I have found a pattern that comes up for many, that people dedicate themselves to a particular goal. They say, I'm going to do this thing, and they really start working on it, and then things start coming up. Everything is not going all right, and that's when we quit. Or there's something that happens that seems to signal that what they're doing is not working, or it doesn't work out. Somebody that wants to be successful in sales, they might try for a long time and they don't have any success, so they give up. But you can always use temporary setbacks to help you on your way to successful achievement of your goals if you refuse to give up or acknowledge defeat. Read the biographies of great people, and you will find almost without exception that each one of them was down for the count more than once, but they always bounce back. If you're down for the count right now, just know that it's part of the process. Everything is still going to work out for you if you persevere. It is usually not possible to win total success without paying a price of some sort. Sometimes not, but in most cases. Often in the form of opposition, hardship, and setbacks of one kind or the other. Few are those who can cross the river of life without getting their feet wet. Without perseverance, there's little hope for success. Perseverance means to hold out, to last to the end, to remain steadfast and loyal. Perseverance is the ability to put up with pain, pressure, fatigue, distress, and disappointment. It is the golden key that can turn temporary failure into permanent success, defeat into victory. Those who make it to the top have one character trait in common: perseverance. As I once heard it put, perseverance is when your hands and feet keep on working even though your head says it can't be done. Now I ask you to go out to the people that are successful in your local circle, the people around you that you see as a true success. I promise you, in most of the cases, they will have shown perseverance. One former president described perseverance this way: nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education alone will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination are omnipotent. The slogan "Press on" has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race. That is the kind of perseverance you will need to achieve total success. Nothing else will do. We need to persevere on a small level, if it's quitting a certain habit, and on a large level. We as a human race must persist, even when it feels hopeless, when it appears that the world is coming to an end, that nothing is working out. We must persevere. This is a clarion call to all who listen to me, that you must persevere in all things to achieve success. Your perseverance is a test. If you can remember my words, I promise there is light at the end of the tunnel. You can use repetition to achieve success. Repetition is another aspect of perseverance, especially when we're talking about using your mind and thoughts to create reality. Not in just your actions or behavior, but in the way that you create reality. You might sit down and try an affirmation or a visualization 1 or 2 times, nothing seems to happen, and you give up. The truth is, memory experts say that if you want to memorize something simple, like a short poem, for instance, it takes 42 repetitions to make a permanent imprint in the memory banks of your subconscious mind. They also say that if you want to learn something long and difficult, say Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, for example, it will take nearly 500 repetitions before you can recite it without a mistake or without hesitation. Repetition is a powerful factor in effective programming of your subconscious mind. It serves 2 main purposes. First of all, the conscious mind cannot act on what it does not understand. Repetition, especially when a proposition is presented in numerous ways, serves to make the idea clear. Now, I am fully aware that this may contradict some of Neville Goddard's teachings and even Jesus. In Matthew 6:7, Jesus is saying, "But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking." For me, the key word here is vain repetitions. Just thinking that you can do the repetition is not enough. There's more to it. It requires feeling. It requires that it affects your subconscious mind. Repetitions help you to memorize. They help you to understand. There is more to it than just repeating a phrase over and over. The feeling is still the secret, but you must persist in this feeling. You must persist in the state. that you enter into. Repetition is a powerful factor in effective programming of your subconscious mind. In my own experience, it serves two purposes. First, the conscious mind cannot act on what it does not understand. It is not vain when your repetition brings clarity. Repetition, especially when a proposition is presented in numerous waves, serves to make the idea clear. Second, repetition wears down the resistance of any contrary or conflicting ideas which are preventing the ready acceptance of the proposition. As Job once said, in effect, the water wears down the stones. That simple statement is one of the clearest pictures of the power of repetition. The water is not wearing down the stone in vain. It just is. I'm reminded I had a neighbor once who decided to dig a well so that he could have an inexpensive source of water for his lawn. This gentleman who dug his well brought a pile driving machine to his yard. It had a heavy iron weight about 3 inches wide and several feet long. This weight was suspended on a chain and was pulled up high into the air. Then it was dropped straight down to make a small indentation each time it struck the ground. This process went on for 3 days until the hole was deep enough to use a drill to go through the hard rock and the limestone. Finally, the hole was hundreds of feet deep. It was then lined with an iron pipe, and when the drill finally reached the aquifer, water sprouted up several feet high into the air. This cumulative process, the constant hammering, the continuous driving force of the pile driver, eventually overcame the resistance of the earth, rock, and limestone to give a deep well with a reliable source of cold, clear, fresh water for him to use on his lawn. This is the same sort of repetition that causes men of obscurity to become famous and well-known. It is this singleness of purpose that lifts a person out of the depths of poverty to the heights of prosperity. The same repetition allows your subconscious mind to reach the goals you have given it, no matter what they are, so you too can become successful. This same repetition is required not only to memorize something and to program it deep into the memory banks of the subconscious mind, but also to perfect one's natural talents and abilities. A famous concert violinist applied this principle of repetition to his musical talents. He maintained a rigorous 8-hour daily practice schedule throughout his entire career. When asked why he persisted in practicing even after he had become world-renowned for his musical excellence, he said, "If I neglect to practice for a month, my audience knows the difference. If I neglect it for a week, my wife notices the difference. But if I do not practice even for one single day, then I can tell the difference." Another gentleman, world-famous concert pianist, not only physically practices at the piano, but he also practices continually in his mind, even when he is away from the piano. A recognized authority on teaching the piano highly recommends this procedure. A new composition should be first gone over in the mind. It should be memorized and played in the mind before ever touching the fingers to the keyboard. One of the best-known golf instructors in the world teaches people to picture in their minds exactly what they're going to do on the golf course before they ever pick up a club. He says that golf is 90% mental, 8% physical, and 2% mechanical. If you're a golfer and you want to improve your score, you can if you will first picture in your mind exactly what it is you want to do. Picture the end result. That is to say, see the ball going where you want it to go, and your subconscious mind will take over and direct your muscles. Even if your grip is wrong and your stance is not the best, your subconscious mind will still take care of that by directing your muscles to do whatever is necessary to compensate for your errors in form. This is not theory, it is a fact. By following this procedure, you'll actually be able to improve in many cases without actual practice whatsoever. Perseverance can happen mentally. Most people think of a habit as being something bad, but that is not true. The dictionary defines a habit as being a tendency to act in a certain way or to do a certain thing a certain way at all times. So a habit can be good, like brushing your teeth regularly, always being on time, that sort of thing. A bad habit can be changed by converting it into a good one, simply by repetition and perseverance. The most successful salespeople in every form of sales never give up. Statistics show that 80% of all sales are made on the fifth call, yet 48% of salesmen never go back after the first unsuccessful call. 25% quit after the second call, 12% give up after the third one, and 5% throw in the towel after the fourth one. But 10% of the salesmen keep calling and they make 80% of the sales. When I was in the mortgage business and we were selling mortgages, even I struggled with this because I didn't want to have to make that call. But the ones around me that did were always more successful. As you can see from what we've discussed so far, persistence pays off. Another friend of mine, a top-notch life insurance salesman, I know he is persistent because in spite of my never buying any insurance from him, he still kept coming back. One day I said, "How many times are you going to call me before you give up trying to sell me insurance?" "It depends upon which one of us dies first," he said. That is perseverance. I was even tempted when he said that to buy a policy from him. I'm sure that you've all faced that with some salesmen where at first you didn't want to and they persisted and eventually you said, "Okay, I'll do it." You can't keep a persistent man down for long. I don't know if you've ever seen the commercials for Bird's Eye frozen vegetables, but you probably may not have heard the story of how it began. Clarence Birdseye lost all his money. Everything he had, even the money he had borrowed on his life insurance when his frozen food business failed. That didn't stop Clarence Birdseye. He persevered because he still believed that there was a market in frozen foods. He started over, borrowing a corner of a friend's ice plant from his experiments. Did he succeed? Well, he later sold out his frozen food company for $22 million. In spite of his original failure, he succeeded because of his perseverance and his belief in what he was doing. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, but he persevered in what he wanted to do and eventually returned as the CEO of Apple, making it one of the largest companies in the world. We could spend the rest of this episode just going through story after story after story. Stubbornness and perseverance are not the same. Sometimes those two things are kind of brought together. They're not. You must differentiate between perseverance and mule-headed stubbornness if you want to succeed. The stubborn man refuses to give up, but he never changes his methods. He refuses to admit he's wrong and continually beats his head against the wall. Even though he is not getting the results he wants, he refuses to admit his mistakes and try a new approach. Perseverance doesn't mean doing the same thing over and over again. It means learning from your mistakes, but not giving up. Whenever you have a setback or a temporary failure, you can persevere and succeed. If you follow these steps, you can first of all convince yourself that there has to be a way to do what you want. Remember that a problem is insoluble only when you believe it can't be solved. When you believe that solutions are possible, you will eventually attract the right one to you. Secondly, back off and start fresh. Many times you're so close to the problem you can't see the solution. Take a breather and then come back for another go at it. And third, be persistent. Just never give up. The history books are full of examples of people who succeeded even after failure because they never gave up. Lincoln, Edison, even Nixon, even though he had to resign from the presidency, were persistent and eventually reached their goals because of their persistence. You can reach all your goals. All you need to do is program what you want into your subconscious mind, persevere, and everything you can desire can be yours. That's why I believe that sleep meditations are the most powerful. You can listen to a single affirmation or a group of affirmations over and over for 8 hours at a time. So by the time you've woke up, you've listened to the same affirmation 1,000 times. That is the perseverance that you can have from affirmations. So I want you to program this into your mind. I'm going to give you some affirmations I want you to repeat to yourself. When you wake up in the morning, if you're struggling persevering at what you want, I want you to say this with me. Today, I remind myself that I am capable of accomplishing everything I set my mind to. If I set my goals that seem daunting, it is because I want to achieve them. Part of the key to achieving my goals is to stay on task and work on a schedule. This is doable, and I remind myself that I can get through the workload with perseverance and dedication to my goal. And so it is that I start this day with anticipation that by sunset I will feel accomplished and satisfied in what I have achieved this day. Intent makes manifest. Reminding myself that I can achieve whatever I set to achieve matters. You can simply say, I persevere, or in tough times, I persevere. When going gets tough, I persevere. You can also say, I can do this. I will press on until the goal is reached. Either I find a way or I will make one. I will persist until I succeed. I believe that my use of continuous positive self-talk is a fundamental part of a gradual long-term process. Everything is possible. I will succeed. I shall persevere. Even when I get discouraged, I can still do it. I do it anyway. I release any resistance within me and accept all of my good. I have passion and perseverance to become happy. That's easy to remember. And if you continually remind yourself of the importance of this, that you can have whatever you want if you persevere, and you're always going to hit that one point in whatever it is that you're wanting to manifest, where it feels like it's just never going to happen, or you want to give up. Remind yourself, I persevere. How badly do you want it? If you persevere, it will be so. Along the way, you maybe have to change what you're doing, be more flexible, take a new look at it. I'm not saying do the same thing over and over again. I'm saying persist toward the achievement of your goal. Along the way, you're going to learn new things and ways to change what you want. So I'm not saying to do the same thing over and over, but I'm saying to persevere, to not give up, to have faith that you can do this. When you find this perseverance, stick with it, and I promise, for those of you that want to give up, that you feel like it's not working, that you've tried and it hasn't worked, don't do it. Just keep going, stick with it, get better at it, look for more information, be flexible, but don't give up. Please. Don't give up, because just a little bit more, just a little bit further, and you will achieve everything you ever wanted to achieve. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.